Craig Matthews is a freaking genius. The Iris Caddis is probably my favorite caddis fly to fish. I've caught fish in Argentina with it. I've caught fish here with it. Check it out.
Yeah, that's a big brown bro.
The Iris Caddis, likely my favorite caddis pattern to fish. I've caught fish with it all over the place. Designed by good old Craig Matthews. What else could you want in a fly? All right, I'm going to show you the way I like to fish it with a little bit different material set, but you'll see the gist of how to tie it. So just a good old Tiemco 100 in the vise. This is a 14. I typically fish this mostly in 14 and 16 here in Utah. That's the bread and butter for our caddis here. For the tail on this, the original calls for Zelon. Zelon's awesome stuff. If you have it, use it. I'm using Fulling Mill Ultra Dry yarn. It's a very buoyant and shiny material, and I'm going to tie that in. I moved my thread forward. I cheated. I'll tie that in about right there. Tie it all the way back, and then I'm going to just come in here, and instead of just chopping it off, I'm going to cut it at an angle. And it kind of gives the appearance that it's like a rough shuck on a caddis fly. Okay, we're going to rough that up a little bit, so it should look about like that. You notice that I only used a little bit. You don't need a ton on this, on the tail on this. All right, I am going to put a rib in there, so I'm attaching some Fulling Mill Flex Floss in brown. And for the body, we're going with the Ultra Dry Dub. So this is a really cool one. I thought immediately of the Iris Caddis when I saw this dubbing, because it's really cool. It allows you to have kind of a buggy body, but it floats. And it actually have bits of it has ultra dry yarn chopped up and put into it. So you're going to have buggy and floaty all in one. All right, so here you go. You can see that's about as tight as I want this dubbing rope to be. So I'm going to tie it up to about right here, and then I'll take the rest off. It's pretty simple dubbing to take off your thread because it's mostly synthetic. All right, I'll get rid of some of these guys. If I brush them out, they just kind of want to string out all over the place. All right, with this Flex Floss, I'm going to make a rib through the body. So you can see we maintain the bugginess of the fly, even though we put a rib. And I'll tie that down, stretch it up, and trim it off. And this is the most important part, in my opinion. So you're going to tie kind of a loop wing on this fly, and I'm using the Fulling Mill Ultra Dry yarn. It's a perfect match for this fly. The original uses Zelon, so you can use that as well. But the way I like to do it is I like to flush up my wing material, and I like to tie that in kind of on the other side of the hook shank from where I sit. So when I tie that in, you can see it's tied on the side of that. And all I'm going to do is loop that around and push it back so that the curve or the bend of this wing is right at the end of the body, and then I'll pinch it all in place and then tie that down. All right, so you can see now we've got a really cool shaped wing, and that will float better than you think. Get rid of the excess, and I do like to put some snug wraps down because anytime you have a loop wing, it's prone to get snagged and pull out, all that kind of stuff. So for the front of this fly, I'm going to use the pepper box color. It's just like the hare's ear, but it just has a little bit darker fibers. So it's going to give the appearance of like a two-tone fly. All right, so I'm just going to build up a little bit of a head, if that's what you were calling it on this. Take our thread to the front and throw a quick whip finish in there. Now imagine that I'm putting whatever your favorite head cement is on there. And then if you want to, you can come in here and pick out some of the dubbing. This is pretty buggy as is, so I won't overdo it, but by just gently coming in here, it picks out some of those natural fibers that are in there. But anyway, that is the Iris Caddis. I love to fish this fly behind another caddis fly, but it works great by itself as well. Fish it on top and also fish it just slightly under the surface of the water.